right. Welcome back to Unlocking Growth, the podcast where we unravel the strategies behind business coaching and growth. And I'm super excited because today we have a remarkable guest joining us, none other than Jada Willis, the owner and operator of Jada Willis Consulting. And as business owners and CEOs, we all have big aspirations. I know that you guys can relate to that, and you wouldn't have made it as far as you have without having those goals. You may actually have a general idea of what you want to accomplish, but do you actually have a plan to get there? And, I'm excited to talk to Jada because she's a former CEO with multiple businesses under her belt. She also specializes in working with other CEOs to make sure that they are able to reach those goals. I'm really excited to chat with her today. She's actually sold a consulting company and then started another one. So I'm sure that she has a lot to share. But I'll keep it short and sweet. Jada, how are you this morning?
I'm so good. How about yourself?
I'm great. We are kind of chatting pre-show that of how jealous I am that you are in double-digit temperatures.
That's right. Great. Charleston, South Carolina. It's 55 degrees today. Feels great.
Yeah, I'm here from Springfield, Missouri, and so we are a balmy 1 degree. So but we're still excited to have the conversation.
That's right.
So tell me, what caused you to kind of get into the business space and really build, your unique methodology of coaching and consulting?
So I have over 18 years of HR experience. And so with that, I've worked at the Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies, and then I really fell in love with small businesses and nonprofits. So I started an HR consulting firm 2016, and then actually was able to sell my 7-figure consulting firm in 2022. And so with that, though, I spent a lot of time getting to know, honestly, the me's of the world. So these are individuals that maybe came from corporate, really good at their trade, started a business, and then really just had to figure it all out, right? Like there wasn't a school to become a CEO. And so with that, though, I fell in love with the helping of CEOs or business owners turned CEO and realizing they need much more support than even the HR side of it. And so sold the organization, started Jada Willis Consulting, and I like to say that I'm a CEO mentor. So it's a hybrid of the coaching, of the consulting, of the accountability, the cheerleader. It's all of that rolled into one. And honestly, what I needed whenever I was running Willis HR, and now I get to really help business owners, CEOs, and executive directors, and it's so cool.
Well, and I love that you take a holistic approach because that's fantastic. I have a background in HR myself. I actually started cutting my teeth there, and which is essentially you're a consultant internally, but only for very specific systems and people. And I was at a Fortune 500 company too, so I'm sure we have a lot in common.
We have stories.
I won't ask if it's the same company because just in case we say something, I don't want any backlash.
Right.
But it is different, when you're operating within an already established structure versus trying to build a structure on your own, right?
Absolutely. It really is. And with that, I always said I'm people, not numbers. And so, but you have to, as a business owner, learn the numbers that are important, right? Learn every piece of the business, know enough to be dangerous, and so that you can maybe efficiently and confidently run your business. What happens, though, is that from a business owner standpoint, you can be really good at something. I tend to work more with service-based businesses. So, you're really good. You care so much about solving this problem and helping your clients. You care about your team, but it's so lonely. You don't know what you don't know, and you need the support. You need someone else. You could call them a business coach, but you need really a CEO mentor that's going to help you, honestly, personally and professionally.
Well, one thing, I forget which class it was that I heard this. I think it was actually one of the real estate seminars that I was in. And he said that your business will grow to the extent that you do personally.
Ooh, yes. And that's so true. And sometimes it's just getting out of your own way because you get so stuck in the weeds, right? You get so stuck into the minutia of your day to day that I tell my clients, go to the balcony. right? Go to the balcony, look down at this problem, at the questions that you're asking yourself. And yes, of course, I'm walking them through some additional questions, but at the end of the day, when they start that mindset of putting themselves behind up there at the balcony, it's a totally different perspective.
It's almost like, someone looking for their glasses, right? When they're on their head, right? They just need to just take a step back.
Yeah, you're right. And you think about it, the clients I'm working with, they're all smart people, right? They're smart, they're driven, they're motivated. So you have all the ingredients and they're probably kicking themselves like, why can't I figure this out? Or they start questioning, should I even be doing this? When in all actuality, it's kind of like we need to shine a light. And I can talk a little bit more about my methodology, but I have to start with them with the end in mind. So what that means is it's crazy to think that most business owners that I usually talk to they're doing well and building their team and doing well and getting new clients and taking care of them, but they also don't know where they're going. They don't know what does success look like a year from now? What does that look like from a revenue standpoint? How many team members do you need to meet that goal? What kind of impact do you want to have? So whether it's a year from now or 3 years from now, through our discovery process, we got to start with the end in mind, right? What's the goal? And then I bring them all the way back. We actually do a visioning statement for where we are today. So it's a reality check. And then we get to say, okay, a year from now, what's our visioning statement, right? Where are we? What kind of impact? Who are we servicing? And what's our revenue? What's our team look like? Right. And of course, we got to remain flexible in that standpoint, but then we build that action plan. We build the roadmap on how to get there. And I think one of the biggest keys is, and this is where we fall short whenever we're, as business owners, we don't anticipate the threats, the hurdles. We just get really excited. Okay. Oh my goodness. I have so much clarity. I know exactly what I'm doing. And then we just run to it and not anticipating what could jeopardize that. What we may have to cover.
There's multiple steps that can have breakdowns, right? So, you start with a good vision of where you are now, where you want to be. Okay, some people don't get that far, and that's a hurdle, right? And then you have your roadmap, which a lot of people they cast their vision, they stick it in a drawer, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So, but now we have a roadmap, and then now we make the same problem that everybody does on family vacation. Like, no, Google said it was going to be 7 hours and 53 minutes, and we're planning for a 15-minute stop, and that's it, right? That never actually happens.
Never. Mm-mm.
So where's the sticking point with the clients that you serve, Jada? Where do you see people getting stuck over and over again, and what is your personal methodology in getting them unstuck from those situations?
So here's the key is the fact that we may have a plan. So therefore, again, we get really excited, but we don't have the pivot and fluid approach to business. So we need to allow life to life us. So with that, it's a accountability process that I'm putting my clients through of reflection. So one thing that I've introduced is even at the end of the month, we talk about the wins. Of course, we talk about what went well. How did we go according to plan? But guess what? We use that information as data to start looking at the month ahead. So yes, we have this 1 year plan, but then you have to break it down to see what's really happening. And where are those bumps? Because then we're going to use that information to update our plan for the next 30 days, for the next quarter. And it sounds kind of robotic whenever you think about it, but there's so many outliers. You have to think about the labor market. You have to think about what's happening in your industry. And you also kind of have to get a feel for the competitive landscape. So it's really helping business owners. Yes, they're in their business, they're doing their thing, but it's helping them stay at that balcony level in looking down, working on their business and not getting stuck in that overall minutia.
So what's your secret sauce? What makes you different than a lot of other consultants and people out there? Obviously, your HR background it makes a huge impact. But what are some strategies that you have found that are particularly useful in working within this space?
Yeah. So again, it's from a people perspective. I help my clients from the lens of I do believe that you have to pay attention to the numbers, but I call it the people effect. If you do a really good job and to have a strategy around taking care of the people in your life and in your business, the numbers will follow. So I help my clients from the standpoint of, I want you to think about the client experience. We drill down, we double down in client engagement. And honestly, from a business standpoint, how do you grow your business? It's your business referrals. It's a referral based a system in place, and you build your network, your key network of referrals. So I kind of have this really neat type of strategy connected to growth and connected to client engagement, but people want to feel valued. In the people effect, if you make your clients feel valued and if you make your team feel valued, I promise you the numbers will follow, the financial goals will follow. And then guess what you have? You have clients that adore you and you have employees that adore you. So I look at it from a people focused, people centric type of strategy instead of a let's drill down on I love KPIs and I love that. I do love the numbers now. At the same point in time, I promise you, if you make people feel valuable, people will multiply.
That is so good. And I can so relate to when you said, I love KPIs now. I cannot tell you how many CEOs that I've had conversations with said, no, I don't want another KPI. I don't want another KPI, right? Because I think that and there's a misconception of oftentimes for our employees, and I'll talk to that if you want to kind of talk to that people aspect, where they believe their leaders are just, dialing by number or painting by number, if you will, and they're just looking at the KPIs and they're making all the decisions based on data points and not people. When in reality, CEOs are people too. CFOs, CMOs, we do understand that it's there, and we probably find it just as much of a chore to go through a lot of those performance indicators as our people do. But how do you reinvigorate a company to understand that really connects with people?
Yeah. And I think it's doubling down on let's talk about tactically what this looks like, because I just presented on CEOs leading their culture, influencing their culture, and some of the HR trends for 2024. And it's kind of ironic. It's the first thing I talked about is leaning into AI. And so that's not necessarily relevant in this podcast, but the third trend is personalization. Everyone's craving it. And if we look at the demographics in our work group, in the labor market, Gen Z is actually overtaken baby boomers. So that means that Gen Z has a larger population in the workforce, but millennials are still the largest. And these two groups, what do they crave? They crave that their leaders care about them as people holistically, but they also care that their voices are heard, that there is there's that personal relationship. Now I'm HR, so it's not that personal, but but people genuinely care. So how do you show that? A lot of business owners automatically think, and CEOs automatically think, oh, come on, I'm giving great benefits. They have an EAP. You're listing all these things, but have they stopped and actually asked the people that work for them, what do they really value? What do I really want? It is wild to me that whenever I was leading and building my team, so I even made this mistake as HR. So when I was leading my team, I was paying competitively, giving out annual bonuses, and then also I had unlimited time off. And then giving out Willis HR padfolios and things of that nature. So it's wild. We were doing a survey. We wanted to practice what we preached. We were doing employee survey, and I couldn't believe how my employees valued the time off and the padfolio over the bonus. And I'm like, what's happening? Okay, well we can redistribute that, right?
Well, I think we make assumptions. We make assumptions that what I want is what my people would want, and that's not necessarily true.
Not true. So in HR, we like to say, well, we have to be consistent across the board. Actually, we need to be consistent in our policies and applying those policies. We need to be inconsistent with how we actually build relationship, because some people want to be recognized differently. Some people want more quality time with you. So implement the, it's not love languages, but it's and I'm blanking on, but it's basically the professional version of love languages in the workplace, knowing what your employees want from you, and then also asking them. And I mean, asking them in multiple forms, in person, surveys, and then guess what? Please don't make the mistake of then being like, okay, cool, now I asked you. No, now you have to reshape how you're actually delivering your type of leadership style or meeting cadence, and make sure you craft the practices of the organization and the benefits to meet the employee group that you have or that you want. So that's where I get in, I look, under the hood with my clients of, it's not just about that it's the CEO mindset of sure, because we have to start there, but we also have to mirror the practices that we know are going to be valuable in taking care of our people, whether clients or otherwise.
I love that. I love that personalization, because impact is the word that I hear a lot from the younger generation within our workforce. They want to make an impact. SOPs are like the least attractive thing that they've ever seen, right?
It's
and
true.
I think that
yes,
yeah, we have to have them, but also they see that and they say, okay, well, there is no individuality in that whatsoever. And I think oftentimes leaders take personalization as insubordination. Because
that's a really good point.
I mean, really, I'm sure you've seen it too. They're like, no, you follow the model. This is the model. And you may actually have a rock star employee, but authorship is ownership, right? You have to give them an outlet to participate in the type of work that they do, so that they actually feel like they have that personal impact.
Exactly. So we kind of looked at it from a team perspective, but then I really feel like my clients sometimes undervalue the fact, if I'm looking externally from a client value perspective, they're looking for, hey, what's a great way to get new clients or to expand, their revenue, increase their revenue. But I really feel like the most underutilized strategy is actually not loving. And I mean like loving on your clients, making them such a big fan of yours and the team and the work, because guess what? People are going to refer people, right? And so I really think that as business owners and CEOs, we like to think of like, what's that new marketing strategy, or what's the new way that I need to, pivot? And you spend all this money, you spend all kinds of money throwing at the wrong strategy, whenever right under your nose, you have your existing clients. Guess what? Do the same thing. Find out what they love about your product or service. And then find out everything you can. Like I build an ideal candidate profile and an avatar in a sense. I want to know, what are they doing in their free time? What are their, what are their hobbies, and what do they enjoy? Because guess what? Every client gift is not just something with my logo on it. It's something that's for them, so that they feel valued, they feel seen. And I promise it's worked for me, and it's worked for so many of my clients. That's what happens, is that then they start telling other people like them that are going to love what you provide.
Well, it's persona marketing, right? That's the marketing word for it, right? And there's a lot of Fortune 500 companies that pay tens of thousands of dollars to get these persona profiles built, right? Yep. But there's no reason why you can't create that. Especially if you're in a company where you're still involved a lot of times with the face-to-face, and you are the face of your company. You know what your clients' personas are, right?
Yep. So, exactly. But it's getting your team involved. So don't just have this information. And, then you as the CEO, are like, okay, I can, I know exactly what to do. Whenever you're developing people, you want to include them in this process, because then it's only going to help your team in learning more about your clients your team in learning more about strategy. And so have the trickle down effect. And then guess what? It's a win-win, because your employees, the Gen Z, the millennials, just asked for, what do they want? They want to be included. They want to feel like they're a part of the vision. So I call this the people effect. I really believe that whenever we set the roadmap, whenever we start with the end in mind, we bring it back, then we get to look under the hood and make sure that we're doing all the things that we need to be doing from a people perspective.
I absolutely love your approach. I love your methodology. Obviously, I'm a person, so I should love it, right? And I think that we miss that a lot. I mean, and I know that we could talk all day long with our HR backgrounds, and I I've really enjoyed the conversation. And yet we do, we are getting a little closer to the end of our time. So I want to make sure I give you an opportunity to kind of talk to our listeners about how they can reach out to you, how they can find out more about your consulting firm, and what kind of problems you might be able to help them solve.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. One of the things that folks will see if they visit jadawillis.com is that I want business owners turned CEOs. I want nonprofit leaders. So if you're at the top of your organization, I need everyone to stop doing this alone. And I say, hey, it's okay if you don't even reach out to me. You should, but stop doing this alone. Stop operating on an island. The Harvard Business Review said the loneliest job in the world is being a CEO. So I'm fighting against that. We have the highest turnover rates in this level as well. I'm asking for folks to really invest in themselves, invest in their team, and then invest in the growth of the organization. So I encourage you to visit jadawillis.com, take the assessment of, is your team ready for growth? And it just starts with a discovery call. And I guarantee you're going to be better than how I found you.
Awesome. Love that. I could not close the show any better than that. Yeah. And I really, really appreciate you joining us, Jada. And guys that are out there listening in podcast land, I appreciate you listening to another episode of Unlocking Growth. If you guys enjoyed today's discussion, which I know you did, make sure that you follow Jada, check her out online. Don't forget to subscribe, rate us, leave a review, all that good podcast stuff. And stay tuned for more interviews with business coaches like Jada, sharing all of their strategies for how they unlock growth with their clients. Until next time, this is Brian Stone signing off with Unlocking Growth. Thanks, Jada.